stand by and stay tuned.
Attention.
You may even get tired of winning, and you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Astrolabe, where it seems as if there's technical difficulties. I'm hoping that you guys are actually catching me live here right now, because it's telling me the internet is down. Everything was just fine until I said go live. And then it said, no, the internet is down, yet everything looks like it's not. So, well, that came in. Pale morning dude with the 500 kicks, thank you. Looks fine to me, I'm here. Okay. All right, good to know. Trying to get the YouTube connection to go through. It also popped up and said, I got a little thing I've never seen before on Kick that says that the session is misconfigured. No idea what that means. But as long as I'm coming through to you guys, then I suppose that's what counts. We did get, so I don't even know if this is going to work, but right after the show ended the other night, we got a tip from Dave Combobulated. So let's see if this actually works. Hey, there it is. $100. All right, it looked like the audio maybe wasn't coming through on that. So let me know if you guys could actually hear that. I don't know why everything. This is supposed to make things easier. It's supposed to get easier. Can't hear it. No. Okay, well, he said, if I'm JD, that baby is getting named Rare, at least for the middle name. So true. So true. Someone in the, I think it was, one of our Discord members said, he pointed out that JD having a baby born, he said baby's going to be born in about 4 weeks. The last time, if I'm remembering right, the last time that happened, the last time we had a sitting president or vice president who had a baby born was in, I think he said it was 1893, Grover Cleveland. So perhaps this is a positive sign toward the rising fertility rates, things looking up on the baby making front. We got the money noise, but not the voice. Genuinely cannot understand why that is. Okay. Because it's come through before. The voice has come through before. So something broke. Something broke. The great thing is that I can fix lots of things that break. The bad thing is I'm just chasing around things that are fixing things that are broken. Please let the people know that we are live. Craig over on YouTube says, seeing you on YouTube, that's good to know. The YouTube connection is one of the things that's just not working right now. It almost seems like there was something wrong with the OBS session or something, and I needed to quit OBS before I started. So that's a mental note. I'll make sure that I do that in the future. We also earlier this morning we got another tip from Flickerate, $25. Didn't say anything. Thank you so much, Flickerate. So we're making progress toward the goal so far. Please do contribute. Go to tips.kingpill.com. That for sure is going to contribute to the goal. I did start a tip goal over on YouTube for those of you who would like to send money that way. It won't automatically add it to the goal. But if you guys want to spam the super chats over on YouTube, then we can put our mind to trying to get them all together. Oh, the connection's working now. Okay. Well, whatever. Things just fix themselves. That's better. I like it when things just fix themselves and I don't have to do it. Say a prayer for my sister. She is currently out working with horses, and this is her job. She's like feeding and watering horses, and there is a massive heat stroke event happening right now here in South Central Texas. We had a heat index of about 120 earlier today. As Miles from the King Pill Discord said, a dew point of 81 degrees existing, just the sheer existence of a dew point of 81 degrees is evidence that hell exists. Hell is real. He said something like that. I don't know. I caught it in passing as I was setting the show up. Also, shout out to Samoa Bob, good friend of the show. I saw him in the chat earlier during the pre-show. Good to see you, buddy. One of our good soccer friends, and he said that it's good on India for finally making the World Cup, finally qualifying for the World Cup via Canada. Shout out India, I suppose. Do a little soundboard test.
Good morning, bastards.
But Mr. President, I have a request. I've stayed loyal and true. I've stayed faithful. When the Panicans arose on my right and the shitlibs sought to overcome on my left, I stayed faithful and true. Now I have but a simple plea. A simple plea. The nation of Qatar has proven their great loyalty. One of our greatest allies, you might say. Love me some Qataris. And they are currently being bludgeoned by the Leafs. Now, I got to say, being bludgeoned by Leafs, you think that kind of wouldn't hurt that much? It sounds like something that like an 18-month-old would do. They'd come and pick up a leaf and like try to hit you with it. Probably, maybe it's not too traumatic, but simply for the sake of their honor, we must invade. Schedule the invasion now. You've got things buttoned up in Iran. It's time to protect the honor of our great allies, the Qataris, who are currently being humiliated on the world stage by those uppity Leafs. It cannot be tolerated. We must engage in military action in support of our great allies, those who have stood beside us all along, subjected themselves to great persecution and torment, insults, deaths, torture, just to be our allies. So please, sir, please invade Canada tonight. Rake the leaf. The leaf must be raked. I saw Sean O'Malley. They asked Sean O'Malley what was the first thing he told Donald Trump after he iced that dude at the UFC night. Which, by the way, apparently it was like 125 million total viewers or something, like the largest viewed total sports event ever. Of course, because my president knows how to put on a show. But Sean O'Malley said that the thing he told the president was, "I knocked out a Canadian for you." What a patriot! What a patriot!
Amazing.
So many great things happening. So I guess it's time for me to take a victory lap here. I hate to do it. You know how humble I am. I'm very proud of my humility. But I'm going to have to take a victory lap. Great big, I told you so. I've been told that my president is Rabbi Trump. Zion Dawn, they've called him. They've hurled all sorts of invective at him, attempted to besmirch his honor, tried to waylay him like a bunch of chihuahuas nipping at his heels. I've been told that J.D. Vance is a cucked sellout. That he's just here to enslave us at the behest of his masters at Palantir, the Zionist terror organization, Palantir. I've been told this so many times. And I now have an entire browser full of clips of Donald Trump and JD Vance brutally frame-mogging not just Benjamin Netanyahu, but Smotrich and Ben-Gvir. All the worst people in the world. They're absolutely frame-mogging them. This is what the kids say. This is a great accomplishment for you old heads. Frame-mogging someone else is a great accomplishment. Vance and in the consummation of this Iran deal here, this MOU, as a build up to the Iran deal, the Israelis are beside themselves. Mark Levin is headed for the tub. He is trooning out, getting ready to inject HRT from all those plastic bags he melted down. He actually had to engineer like a little custom robot solution to do the melting down because he can't do it on the Sabbath. So he has a little robot goyim that does it for him. But yeah, they are mad. They are big mad. And Vance and Trump are both issuing some brutal diplomatic slapdowns to the nation of Israel. Trooning out as spiritually neocons. So true. It is their natural state. To troon out is the natural state of a neocon. So when you troon out, you are embodying the spirit of the neocon. So let's get into this. I've probably got about 2 hours here. So tuck in. We've got some great clips. Great clips. There's got to be a joke here with like great clips, the haircutting salon, and I'll work on it. Someone workshop that for me in the chat. But so here we go. I've got just a lineup of clips. Trump at the G7 summit. I forgot I was thinking about this as I was hitting the intro and everything. I didn't grab the one where he walks in and just says, "I'm the boss." Walks in, stands there, says, "I'm the boss," and then walks around and smirks at everyone. Literally one person on the planet could do this and get away with it because everyone knows it's true. Everyone knows that my president is the boss. So here is, just jump right into it. Trump threatens the U.S. will drop bombs right smack in the middle of their head if Iran doesn't behave. This was just funny because just the way that he talks.
Is the text of the agreement now final, or are you still...
No, it's not final. It's a memorandum of understanding. And if I don't like it, we'll go back to shooting at them, dropping bombs on their head.
When do you expect the wording?
If I don't like it, if they don't behave, we'll go right back to dropping bombs right smack in the middle of their head.
Because he's the boss.
Because they've misbehaved for 47 years. All right?
Does it include
But nobody could have made this deal. I mean, the JCPOA done by Obama, he handed him $1.7 billion in cash, gave him hundreds of millions of dollars, gave him billions and billions of dollars, but he gave him $1.7 billion in cash, green cash from banks, into a Boeing 757 and flew it into Iran. And they stood at the plane. I have pictures of it like, oh my God, look at this money he's giving us. He tried to bribe his way out. I didn't do that.
This has chapped his ass for so long. He must have been trying to get some sort of real estate deal done or something like that. And his shit got held up because suddenly all of the banks in the northeastern United States were fresh out of cash so it could get shipped over to Iran. And then he just can't take it anymore.
Nobody mentions that. $1.7 billion and hundreds of millions of dollars. They tried to bribe their way out of it. And you know what the Iranians did? They laughed at Obama and they said he's a stupid son of a bitch.
So true. So true, Mr. President. A stupid son of a bitch. Oh, what was this one here? Okay, so then there's the question of the United States putting money into this. And JD Vance mentioned this in one of the clips I played yesterday. explaining what this $300 billion amount that everyone is latching onto as saying this is a bad deal because Trump is giving him $300 billion or something like that. No, it has not a single cent of American taxpayer dollar is going to comprise. If that $300 billion, that's like the upper limit of what the United States would be willing to greenlight in investment from other nations around them. So what this is actually saying is that if you don't do the things required to attain that 300 billion or any fraction of that 300 billion, if you're not behaving, playing nice, then we will block up to that level of foreign investment into your country. So they're in a $300 billion deficit in terms of their ability to receive investment from neighboring regions. And the United States is saying, if you will play ball as we walk down this negotiation pathway, as a gesture of good faith, the more good faith you demonstrate, the more we will pull back. Here's Trump saying it.
Have I read it?
Well, it's been reported that it includes a $300 billion reconstruction fund funded by Gulf allies. That's false?
It's false. People, you can invest if you want. I mean, what am I going to do? Say nobody's ever allowed to invest? No, we're not investing. We're not putting up 10 cents. And people can decide to do that, but that's up to them. I mean, do you want me to say nobody's ever allowed to invest in a country? I'll say it with Egypt. Nobody's allowed to invest in Egypt. Am I supposed to say that?
I'm asking.
We are not investing in it.
Egyptians are like, hang on a second. How did that sentence come out of his mouth? Please, Mr. President, no. Lord Breezy says every other country's GDP belongs to us, basically. Yeah, that's exactly it. Every other country's, we are expressing a sovereignty claim over every other country's GDP with respect to their ability to deploy it into this particular direction. But he's also like, I'm not. If they're playing nice, if they're behaving themselves, then it would be unreasonable for me to block other nations from investing with them, from doing deals with them. You could see that it's been from the very beginning. I've said the upshot of this is not the destruction of Iran; it's the reintegration of Iran into the global economy. And not just into the global economy, but in the new restructured Scott Bessent Bretton Woods 3.0 economy.
And we do not have a fund.
Are you asking Gulf countries?
No, I'm not. I'm not. If they do it, fine. But I would say they won't be doing it for a while until they find out the behavior. It's a behavior thing. But we are not investing. That's a false story that got picked up incorrectly from a statement that was pretty well made, I think. Maybe a little bit. Could have been a little more accurate, frankly, but it's a story. We are not investing 10 cents. Don't forget, there's never been anybody that's been so tough on Iran.
And you can't make it any more unequivocal than we're not investing 10 cents. Like that right there, one sentence. We're not investing 10 cents. So if you look at a thing and you're like, oh, is this evidence that they're going to invest, that the United States is going to be directing taxpayer dollars into this thing with respect to the Iran deal? Then your answer is, we're not going to invest 10 cents.
It should have been done by Clinton and Barack Hussein Obama. It should have been done by Biden. It should have been done by Bush. It could have been done by a lot of people. This has been going on for 47 years. They've ripped you off for 47 years, and I'm the only one that did anything about it. They never shot missiles at anybody. We wiped out their Navy. We wiped out their military. We wiped out their air.
What's up, Nevsky? Says kick can suck it. Yeah, you know, it is what it is. That's why I'm streaming on YouTube again. Give you guys an opportunity. And so far, I've been able to play it nice. So far, I've been able to mostly prevent the streams from being demonetized. I have to be a little picky about the clips that I can play, and sometimes it's just going to happen, which is why the success of the Ericssons, our future prosperity depends upon the generosity of you guys. If you are enjoying it, if you like the value that I provide, then you return value in the form of tips. I'm a digital busker. Tips.kingpill.com. contribute to the tip goal. There's a little pink bar that goes around the screen. You guys pay your white pill prescription fees, and I keep bringing them.
Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft, they have no radar. You know, the reason oil stayed low is because we were taking ships out every night that you didn't even know about.
So there's an interesting thing here. He makes this point repeatedly, that how comprehensively they've destroyed Iranian infrastructure. Now, the only person who I've seen who has really questioned the extent to which that's actually real is Joaquin Flores. He's just made the point that a lot of this stuff is basically impossible for anyone to validate in a journalistic sense. Like, go view this thing, go confirm that this, at these specific coordinates, this specific amount of damage was done, that there was this specific missile strike. That's not to say that these are not happening, but in the age of AI and psyops aplenty, there's no way to know. It has to take like it's a larger variable that you have to consider, or you have to consider it more. It's more fixed. It's less of a variable and a little more fixed, that there's going to be fake videos. There's going to be fake stories. And the example that I've always used is I've never been to Japan. As far as I know, Japan doesn't actually exist. There's this great big narrative about this place called Japan, and it's this massive, like, Truman Show level psyop that Japan doesn't actually exist. The only way that I could confirm that Japan actually exists would be to go to Japan myself. But then, like, even further, if I go jump in a plane, how do I know that this isn't part of the whole scheme? That I'm being taken through some sort of a portal, or I'm just like going through a simulation of a flight and then just landing in some other place, like a set that's made to look like Japan. These are uncertainties that we're totally fine with, because we're like, the alternative, that this theory that I'm positing just seems too insane. It just would be impossible for something like that to be real. So we just sort of push that off to the side and just assume, yeah, when people talk about Japan, Japan exists. I've met someone who's been to Japan. They tell me about what Japan was like, you know, and it corresponds to all the other stories I've heard about Japan. So I just assume that Japan exists. And then I meet Japanese people, and I'm like, yeah, I'm glad that Japan exists. So I have an additional incentive to believe in the existence of Japan. But so, like, all that being said, I have no way of validating the specific claims about Iranian military personnel who have died. Thank you, Emperor Atreides. Man, it's still doing that. It just added $50 to the goal, for crying out loud. The kick's just not working for me. Yeah. I kind of have been optimistic that they're going to improve some of these, because there's so many things that are really nice about Kick. I've been hoping that they were going to improve some of the things, and, you know, be just a little bit of a ride, but they've got some big streamers, and they're optimizing for people streaming for long periods of time. Like, that's their thing. They want you to do long streams. So I figure they're going to increase their bandwidth and their stability and everything, and it just thus far very much has not been the case. So that's part of why I decided to just come back to stream on YouTube as well. So it's funny. I haven't seen anybody suggest, apart from Joaquin Flores, and Joaquin Flores is very much on the side of, like, Trump and Iran have been kayfabing this out basically the whole way through. And apart from him, I haven't seen anybody else who has suggested that Iran's the damage to Iran's navy and military infrastructure and other types of infrastructure is fake. I haven't heard anybody suggest that. So everyone just seems to accept that, yeah, that's true. But then they act like, well, if we just go back to the strait being opened, then we're right back where we were before. I'm like, how? If you said, no, this is all fake, it's just been a big performance, and the U.S. is actually kind of weak, and they've been, like, desperately begging for the Iranians to go along and, like, provide cover for them to wriggle their way out of a difficult situation because they got lied into it. Like, this is getting really fucking schizo. And I feel like I'm the guy who has a pretty high tolerance for schizo, and this whole narrative about like the United States is just like getting led around by their nose and is hopelessly incompetent and buffoonish, and everyone's just laughing at them. How do you square all of that? So are you saying that none of those Iranian military people died at all? The Ayatollah the Ayatollah wasn't killed, and Iran has just like kind of like got a little mosquito bite and sort of like brushed it off, and then the strait goes back to normal, and then we're like back where we were before. How's that possible? That's just too far down the schizo rabbit hole even for me. So clearly, if we go back to a state of like everyone's like, no, we have to get the strait open. It's so bad. The strait is closed. Open the strait. Open the strait. And they're like, okay, now we're going to open the strait. Oh, how are you just going to open the strait? Pick one. Is the strait supposed to be opened or not opened? Leaving aside the fact that the strait's been much more open than not open the entire time. We've had to have a question about what open actually means. But this is nuts to me. How do you... Again, I can understand if you're starting from the premise of, well, all of this is fake. This was just a fake kayfabed war, and nothing was actually destroyed. And United States like used up their entire arms stockpile on a bunch of fake stuff. Like somehow these are supposed to be true as well. The United States is getting dangerously low on their different missiles and stuff, but also they were just launching them into nothing. They basically don't really have any destructive capacity, and they just like fired them into the side of a mountain and ran out their arms supplies in pursuit of just like desperately clinging to faith in the Iranian regime that they would descend from on high and bless them with their willingness to participate in this great kayfabe. So either all the arms got used up and they caused a lot of fucking destruction, or they didn't get used up and didn't cause a lot of destruction, and then it was just all fake. But I don't see anybody who's saying that it was all fake. And I also haven't seen... Now, there is one thing about the numbers about the Iranian economy that are... I guess I do kind of have a little caution when I hear people cite the numbers of the Iranian economy being really unstable, their inflation numbers and the value of their currency and their debt and all of that sort of thing, just because the nation has been almost by definition sort of on the outside of the global economy for some decades now. So if it's not part of the batch of nations that you all measure success along a certain set of metrics, then by definition you're going to have to evaluate it along a different set of metrics. So there's I do think that the Iranian economy is probably not as bad off as it's claimed to be. But I also think that it's not great. Miranchuk says Iran is out of water. Well, that's interesting. Tell me more. So here was one of the first big shots across the bow. Skits a rabbit hole. Says we never hear about the queer of Hormuz. So true. Why are they keeping this down during Pride Month? Nonetheless. Absurd. Simply absurd. So this is one of the first big shots across the bow for Israel over the last couple of days.
But it's been an amazing partnership. But he will say, we're the big partner and he's the very small partner, and that's true. So happened, Israel would have been blown away. And in all fairness to Bibi Netanyahu, who happens to be a good man, gets a little excited sometimes. But he happens to be a very good man. We've had an amazing partnership. He's been an amazing prime minister, we have a little dispute over Lebanon. I say, you can do a little softer touch, Bibi. You don't have to knock down a building every time somebody walks into it that's from Hezbollah. But so he came to the country.
Notice how he frames this up too. Oh, he's very good. We love him. He's a great guy. He's we've had great success. He's been a tremendous partner, which is why you notice the disjunction here. Oh, he's so great. He's fantastic. He's been a tremendous partner. He's really just such a great guy, which is why both me and my vice president are going to go on a media campaign, absolutely rhetorically kicking your teeth in, diplomatically speaking. This is total no-no territory. You couldn't say this sort of thing in public a couple of years ago. Now you have the president saying it. Yeah, you don't need to blow up an entire building every time someone from Hezbollah walks in there.
And he begged Barack Hussein Obama, the president, not to do the JCPOA. He said it could be the end of Israel, and it would have been if I didn't come along. And Obama didn't listen to him. Bibi actually went to Congress and pleaded with them, and he got nowhere.
Like a bitch.
And they had this horrible deal that was horrible for Israel.
Listen to the way he frames him up. So he's telling the story as if Bibi is this sympathetic character. Oh, poor Bibi. He was right. He was right. It was going to destroy Israel. Thank goodness I showed up and saved Israel. Bibi couldn't do it. He went on his knees and he begged and groveled like a bitch. And he couldn't get Congress. He couldn't even get Congress to help him out. How effective really is this Bibi guy?
Horrible for Israel. They've been a good partner. Again, I think they could do better with respect to Hezbollah. I'm not saying they shouldn't protect themselves. I'm saying when two drones are shot into the desert and drop harmlessly, you don't have to knock down buildings in Beirut. They could behave better. And frankly, they could do a better job.
So he starts off with no, they've been great. They've been a fantastic ally. You know, they could do a little better. You know, they don't have to fucking knock down an entire apartment building because a spot in the desert got shot. Yeah, and actually, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, there's some other stuff too.
I love them as a partner. They were terrific, but they could do a much better job with Hezbollah. On that, I don't.
These are the strongest words that I've ever heard from a president with respect to Israel. Trump's approval ratings in Israel have gone whoop in the last couple of weeks, according to whatever extent you can trust the polls. This has the neocons, Israelis, Likudniks absolutely seething, chewing through their own teeth. And this is on a only slightly related note. This clip was short and funny.
The stock market is more brilliant than anybody there is, including the people on the stage, other than me, of course. Let's see. I don't know. What do you think, Scott? Is the stock market more brilliant than you?
No, sir.
That's a terrible statement. All right. The stock market is quite brilliant.
Look at the contrast here. All right, so either I could read this one of two ways. Either Lutnick is the most recent guy that Bessent has taken a swing at, and he's making sure that he laughs so that he stays in the good graces, and Rubio is the next one who's going to get swung at, or Rubio was the most recent one to get swung at, and so he's sulking. I love Scott Bessent. Do you think the market is smarter than you? Nope. Look at our alpha gay. Okay, what was this clip here? Oh yeah, so here's more. This is another rather striking admission from Trump, and it goes to directly the same thing I've been saying all along, that Trump is not hell-bent on the destruction of Iran. Not at all. He actually wants to. It fits the same pattern that he's had with respect to every other country that he's engaged in negotiations with. He genuinely wants them to be better off. And he wants to get something out of it. But the man is a deal maker. He wants to make deals. So the idea that he was, if you know anything about the guy, you should have known from the start that he's not just some patsy for Israel in the destruction of Iran.
Country. So we'll be working on a parallel effort with the Gulf nations to address non-nuclear issues such as the conventional ballistic missiles, which we'll be talking about, and support. I mean, they have to have some because other people have some. You got to have some. Somebody said you shouldn't give them one. I mean, I have guys. I like some of these guys, but I don't think they're smart.
I wonder who he's talking about. I like some of these guys, but I don't think they're smart. They're telling me that Iran shouldn't have any ballistic missiles whatsoever. Now suddenly you have the man who has been on the warpath against Persia for years, honestly, is now the guy who's arguing that no, they've got to be able to have some ballistic missiles. Like we're not gonna completely subjugate them. No, we want them to be prosperous and happy and healthy and able to defend themselves and be able to be well-behaved contributors to the global community. Now Donald Trump is advocating against his advisors. His advisors who are saying, no, completely crush and subjugate Iran, eliminate 100% of their military capacity. Send them back to the Stone Age. He's like, I don't want to send them back to the Stone Age. That's not reasonable. You guys are retarded.
Sir, you shouldn't let them have any missile. I said, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to let Saudi Arabia have missiles, but they can't have them? Yes, sir.
Saudi Arabia, huh? Interesting that he says Saudi Arabia. Wonder if Saudi Arabia was actually the nation he had in mind.
It doesn't work that way, you know? It doesn't work that way. And missiles aren't the problem. Missiles they hurt a little location, but they don't blow up the planet. So the Gulf nations will address the non-nuclear issues. We'll be talking about the ballistic missiles, and we'll talk also about the terrorist proxies that they have. That we don't want that to happen. But I want to thank our partners in both.
So then he was asked about those comments again, because obviously it was a rather significant statement for the president of the United States, as he has been engaged in military conflict with Iran, to then also be advocating that they actually be allowed to maintain a stock of ballistic missiles.
No, I'm saying that if other countries have them, it's a little bit unfair for them not to have some. A ballistic missile is not the same thing as what we're talking about when we talk nuclear. But if Saudi Arabia and Qatar, and they all have some, I would say in relative proportion, I think it's okay.
In relative proportion. So you can see, again, the intent here is to create a situation in the Middle East whereby there is a balance of power amongst all the different players in the Middle East so that they all can keep each other in line. And so that means some are going to get pulled down, others are going to get pulled up, and there's going to be a sort of an equalization, which is what permits the United States to withdraw. And I want to give a shout out. I can't remember who it was, but somebody commented on the last stream, I think it was, and said that it sure looks like when the Gulf states committed all of those hundreds of billions of dollars in spending and infrastructure and development in the United States, that this was contingent upon Trump resolving the Iran situation, which I said that's been my assumption for I don't know, a year now. Back when the strikes last June, I said at that time that this is clearly the Gulf states getting what they paid for. Everyone's focusing on him doing the behest of or working at the behest of Israel, when he was just as much working at the behest of the UAE and Saudi Arabia and Qatar and Bahrain. So here was the actual signing of the MOU. And of course, it was signed in Versailles. They're calling it the Memorandum of Understanding of Versailles.
Yes.
Bravo.
The boss.
What is that?
Good job. Great job.
Great job.
For sure.
For sure. Weird little frog man. Okay, so those were the Trump clips that I had. Now I've got some JD clips. Check this out. This was, if I remember right, I don't remember when this was. I'll just play it.
Legacy he wants its stability in the Middle East and to be able to turn the entire place into a massive Trump world resort.
Okay, hold on. I remember what this was now. This is when he was on Gutfeld, when JD Vance was on Gutfeld. So the purpose of this clip is not Kennedy and her horrifying glasses. These things are garish. No, wait for it.
In the Middle East and to be able to turn the entire place into a massive Trump world resort, which I also celebrate because I'm hoping by being on the same show with Vice President Vance that I get a discount code when it opens.
Yes.
Which would absolutely be amazing.
Yeah.
And, you know, to Kat's
If you want
point,
the discount code, it's Trump 2028. That's the discount code.
What did he mean by this? Trump 2028. Perhaps this is why he's dancing around the questions about whether or not he's going to run for president. I wonder who else might run for president. So he stood in for the press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, because she's out on maternity leave right now. And there was a few quotable moments. So here's the first one.
I've seen some progressive criticisms of me personally saying, what experience does the Vice President of the United States have with hostile, high-stakes negotiations? And I would point those progressive critics to the fact that just 2 days ago, I spent over an hour on The View. So I actually have a great experience in very hostile negotiations, and I've used that. I mean, look, Joy Behar is way tougher than the Iranians, and she and I are best friends now. So we're going to get to a good place here. We're going to get to a good place. We're already at a good place. It's just seen some.
It sounds like he's got a little frog in his throat. You notice a couple of times here he has some water. He's drinking some water, and you can hear his voice is a little croaky. He's been traveling around a lot lately. Speaking of Joy Behar, this is what she said about JD the other day after they had him on The View.
Well, listen, he talked about his giant head for a while. I enjoyed that. All right, and then he sat down with a joke. I thought it was pretty good that his
Gross.
told him that
Ew.
Yeah, that was funny.
All right, let's get into your. And then apparently I'm getting a note here. You told him during the break that he should run for president because he has a good vibe.
I think that even though for a Republican, mind you, I'm not a Republican.
Yes, you're not turning.
I think possibly I voted for.
Now listen to the way she describes her political calculus here.
For a Republican, mind you, I'm not a Republican.
Yes, you're not turning.
I think possibly I voted for Michael Bloomberg once for mayor, who was supposedly.
Yeah, you always liked Bloomberg.
Supposedly he was a Republican. I don't mind a Republican on the city level because it needs a little discipline. But on the national level, I want somebody with a good heart. And those are more in the Democratic Party, in my opinion. They care about the poor. They help people. The Republican Party is much more about saving taxes for rich people.
Remember, when you're thinking of people like those who are on The View, this is the level at which they analyze politics.
So I'm not a Republican.
One thing he said backstage, and I think he said it a couple times today, was that he was more nervous coming on The View than he was for the vice presidential debate against Walz.
Well, he should be, because we're, the other girls have many receipts.
Yes.
Sunny, she's got all the receipts,
Yeah, absolutely.
And Sarah likes to, bring in the kids, which is always like a low blow, and they get scared of that.
But sincere, I thought. She did a good job with that.
Truthfully, as I said to you in the beginning of this conversation, I don't think that he's a bad guy. So if he runs against, say, Gavin Newsom, that'll be an interesting debate to see those two, because they're both intelligent.
Insane. I do not have a theory of mind for people like this, but they exist. They have influence. They vote. They influence other people's votes. Mr. Stu says JD knows how to speak to women. He's the vagina whisperer. Yeah, it's very clear. It's very clear that he has an outsized influence on the Foyds. He is the Foyd whisperer. And this has major implications for the if he does run for president, because being able to clean up that demographic swings a lot of things. And if Joy Behar looks at him and says, "I think he's a good guy," I mean, I think we all expected that the line about Vance was going to be, you thought Trump was bad. Here's Vance. He's even worse. Military guy and Palantir, and really, it's just like the retard right people who have had that perspective on him. Actually, the libs are like, no, I think he's actually a good person. Like, he's actually a decent guy, which goes a long way. Someone who can like, Trump has his own way of demonstrating authenticity, but there's not just one way of demonstrating authenticity like that. And JD is a tremendous communicator, and it's been on full display for the last for the last few days. This is another clip from his time at as the press secretary stand-in.
You are going to run for president in 2028, but if you do not, is there anyone in particular that you would want to see run?
What's your name?
Stephen Kapuska, sir.
I want Stephen Kapuska to run for president in 2028. Go ahead.
He looks like he's getting tired of answering this question, and he's probably not feeling very well. So now he's starting to get into I don't give a shit. Like, what sort of new and original answer can I give to this question? He's going to keep getting it. So here is Vance talking about the role that the Gulf Coast partners are playing in the Gulf Coast coalition partners are playing in the development of this Iran deal.
First of all, the two big differences are not even in the substance of the deal itself, but something I said earlier are, number one, the Gulf Coast Coalition loves this deal because they think that it makes Iran weaker. They hated the Obama deal because they thought that it made Iran stronger. They know more about this, and they have more to lose than anybody, including the United States of America, so I trust their judgment. The second thing is where the deal came from. You have to remember.
And I would say, I suppose someone might question whether he's just bullshitting about this, but to speak unequivocally on the behalf of other nations like that, especially nations that haven't, it's not like they've just been, patsies. They've just been rollovers with the United States. When they've been unhappy with things, they've publicly declared that they're unhappy with things. So, and just with JD in general, he's not a very good liar. He gets really kind of uncomfortable and squirmy when he tries to lie. So when he says something like this, I would be inclined to just literally just take it at face value. That he is straight up, he's expressing the perspective of those other nations, because they could, if they disagreed, if they were unhappy with this, then they could come out and they could say something. There's a number of different ways that they could leak some sort of thing out or whatever that basically like JD Vance is speaking out of turn here.
To remember, in 2015, Iran had built a sophisticated nuclear weapons program with a nuclear weapons stockpile. So the perspective that we came at as the United States was, you already have a really nice nuclear program. We're going to bribe you with American money in order to stop it. Our perspective and where we're coming at it is, we already destroyed your nuclear program.
So he's saying that under the Obama deal, the approach was, you've got this nice nuclear program, we're going to bribe you to not use it. And he's saying that our perspective is, okay, we've destroyed your nuclear program.
And so if you promise and show verifiable pathways to not rebuild it, then we're willing to give you some sanctions relief and things like that. So it's a fundamentally different perspective. Now, there are all these substantive differences as well. The Obama nuclear deal allowed enrichment. Ours will not. The Obama deal allowed the accumulation of stockpiled weapons-grade material. Ours is actually leading to the destruction of that stockpile of enriched material. So there are many differences. The Obama deal gave them over $1 billion of American money. This deal gives them $0 of American money. So a lot of substantive differences, but I think the most important differences are where we're coming at it from a position of strength and the fact that our Gulf Coast partners love this deal.
The dude could talk. There was a clip, I didn't include it, but one where Trump said that if it goes south, if the Ron deal works out, then he's going to take full credit for it, and if it goes south, then he's going to blame JD. And the way, as a longtime understander of Trump's communication style, which he's got like the most obvious ticks and patterns and everything, but for whatever reason, it's like every time there's a large portion of the population that every time they listen to Trump say something, it's like they're hearing him for the first time. So when Trump says that, what he's doing is he's saying JD is the one who deserves the credit for this. That's a backhanded way of actually giving JD credit for it, because clearly JD has played a prominent role in it. So this is part of the way that they're doing this is part of the grooming the successor. But I do think, yes, Kingless Kingdom, I do think his real answer is that they haven't ruled out Trump running in 2028. Now, here is, okay, so this is more commentary on the $300 billion rebuilding fund and the debate over that.
Oh, I see. So what's interesting about this is there is a great desire from the Arab world and from outside the Arab world to actually get involved in Iran if they behave properly. So for example, let's say the United Arab Emirates, who've been a great ally over the last, not just few months, but over the last many years, let's say that they would like to invest in building a power plant. That actually is impossible right now because of the way that U.S. sanctions work. And so what we're saying is that if you behave, and if the Emiratis themselves want to build a power plant, then we will do the sanctions relief necessary to make that possible. The good thing about that is that it actually creates integration, which is leverage. A world where the Gulf Coast Coalition has greater leverage into the Iranian economy is a world where the Iranians are going to be heavily prevented from misbehaving. So it's a lot of the Gulf Coast Coalition, again, they see that Iran is weakened, they see there's an opportunity to build a new relationship there, and they're saying if they behave, and if the United States is willing to allow this to happen, then absolutely we want to change our relationship with Iran. No, well, I mean, I assume that in the United Arab Emirates there would be private money and so forth that would be part of this. But again, this is so far in advance because it assumes a transformation in Iranian behavior.
That last point there. This is so far away from being realized because it assumes a transformation in Iranian behavior. So if Iran behaves like a civilized nation, then after Iran has demonstrated them behaving like a civilized nation, which I think is really more about Iran actually being able to exercise its own sovereignty, because it's really been just kind of like a cutout front for foreign interests for the last half a century. People talk about Iran as they're like, well, the Iranian people are an ancient people, therefore the Iranian regime is an ancient regime. No. In regime terms, the United States is one of the oldest regimes presently on Earth. Now, the United States has gone through its own various different types of regime change, multiple different republics or what have you, but it's kept the same currency, spoken the same language, used the same documents. Even if it's interpreting those documents differently, it's still referring back to the same founding documents. So it's remained within that same frame for 250 years now, which is actually pretty long on the world stage. But this Iranian regime has only been around for like 50 years, and before that, it was back and forth and in a place of turmoil and revolutions for decades before that as well. So this isn't an old regime, and clearly there were. I'm probably, generally speaking, more Iran sympathetic than like the average person, probably, because I don't see them as some sort of like a backwards. They're not like Afghanistan, They're not a bunch of just like goat herders living in the mountains. I mean, even Afghanistan isn't entirely that way, but Iran is legitimately a sophisticated nation, sophisticated, advanced nation with a huge population, very intelligent, capable people, but they've been a political football essentially, given their location, and it really just required someone who would come and bull in a china shop through the whole scenario, where everyone's trying to do like Diplo speak and work covertly behind the scenes and everything. And then, no, you're just going to get, Trump's going to bulldoze through it, and he's going to establish a new standard of behavior, basically give Iran permission to come out and begin acting like a sovereign nation and not just a proxy for dark European money. So what this does, Yahweh's wife said 300 billion plus control of the Strait. Trump turned Iran into a regional superpower just to spite Israel. I mean, Iran already was a regional superpower. Like whoever exercised control over Iran was exercising the control of a regional superpower. Not a global superpower, but a regional superpower that had the potential. This is where basically all the dark European money was going to decamp to, was the Gulf. And they were going to use a nuclear-armed Iran and obviously a nuclear-armed Israel and the control over the Strait of Hormuz as a way of laundering all of the dark money and then using all of the established networks to facilitate terror proxies all over everywhere else. So what the new state of things is headed toward, and Russia and China have been signing off on this as well. Who knows how happy they are, but I'm sure that they're like having clarity is better than not having clarity. Like having clarity and maybe a lower ceiling would be better than having ambiguity and a higher ceiling. So for China and Russia, they would be probably more than happy for the United States to bear the brunt of the task of setting up a stable Middle East and then more or less withdrawing. Because it gives Russia and China less of a headache that they have to deal with. So Josh Ham says over on YouTube, instead of Iran being a proxy for big fish in the ocean, Iran can instead be a medium fish in its own lake. They're being granted limited sovereignty at a small scale. Right. And Iran's sovereignty can scale as they become a more trusted and integrated partner of the local region, increases security and reduces risks. Banger. Exactly. Yes. So even if you look at like that, so that 300 billion, were they able to actually attain that 300 billion, which again is more about the availability of foreign investment into Iran? The extent to which they're going to get that is going to be the extent to which they are increasingly partnering with the other nations in the region, which is necessarily making the other nations in the region more powerful. And as JD says here, the mutual integration creates leverage on all parties. So you get basically a mutual standoff where it becomes more beneficial for them to continue to partner together versus fight each other. Okay, now here's where some of the strongest words for Israel have come from JD Vance over the last couple of days. Here's the first one.
To completion. Now, I saw the Axios report, that Netanyahu is fuming. That's not...
You could tell his voice, he's definitely sick. He's got a little extra edginess to him.
Axios report, that Netanyahu is fuming. That's not reflective of the conversations that I've had with him, but maybe he's saying something to somebody else that he's not saying to me. What I will say, and this does bother me, is that you've seen people within Bibi's cabinet who have come out and attacked the deal and in some ways very personally attacked the President of the United States. And I guess my message...
This is an escalation, big time. Like, going so far, like the majority of people don't even know who the Israeli cabinet are. Going so far as to directly call out not just Bibi, but the cabinet at the same time. This is... United States-Israel relations have never been worse.
And in some ways very personally attack the President of the United States. And I guess my message to them would be twofold. Number one, Donald J. Trump is the only head of state in the entire world who is sympathetic to the nation of Israel at this moment in time.
Donald Trump is the only head of state in the entire world who is sympathetic to the nation of Israel at this point in time. Holy shit. When I first saw that, I had to go find a clip. I saw people had quoted him saying that, and I had to go find the clip to make sure that it was real. This is for one nation to say this about another nation, much less the United States saying this about another nation, much less the United States saying this about Israel. Donald Trump is the only head of state in the world right now who's sympathetic to you. And this is after Donald Trump has just spent the last day saying Israel needs to knock off the shit.
And he happens to be the head of state of the world's superpower. If I was in the cabinet of the Israeli government, I might not be attacking the only powerful ally that I have anywhere left in the entire world. And the second message I would give to some of those cabinet members, Bibi, to his credit, has not gone down this path, but to some of these cabinet members in Israel who are attacking the President of the United States, the other thing that I would say is that over the last 3 months, 2/3 of the defensive weapons that have protected your homeland have been built by American hands and paid for by American tax dollars. The problem for Israel is not Donald J. Trump. And anybody in Israel who thinks their biggest problem is the President of the United States needs to wake up and smell the reality of the situation that country is in. Thank you all.
What have you learned about going to war against Iran?
Does this seem like, yeah, that was a threat. Yeah. Does this seem like an administration that feels politically insecure? Does this seem like an administration that is fearful about what might happen in the midterms? Does it seem like they are I don't know, backed into a corner and under fire, or are they speaking from strength? Clearly, they are entirely aware of the dynamic between Israel and the United States. And you know who J.D. Vance has followed for a long time. Like, you know what sort of circles J.D. Vance comes out of. J.D. Vance is not... Say a prayer for J.D. Vance and Donald Trump. Because this is a declaration of war. And it will be rightly received as a declaration of war. This is a monumental middle finger to the Likudniks and the neocons in general. Because this is not... They're both very careful in how they craft their statements. That they're not talking about Israel. They're talking about specific people in power in Israel. Which would then also include the domestic defenders of those particular people. This is a declaration of war on Likud. In political terms. But he had even more to say. This is a longer clip, 4.5 minutes. Him on, what is this, New York Times? Suddenly I'm feeling retarded. What logo is that? Is that the Times? Oh yeah, Ross, do that. Okay.
Okay. There is another country in the Middle East that thinks of itself as having a very intimate knowledge of the Iranian regime. Yeah. Not just the Gulf states. That's Israel. I don't think this deal is popular in Israel right now. I don't think you're an especially popular figure in Israel today. We'll see where things are in 6 months. And one perception I think that people have after watching this war unfold is that there is a certain misalignment maybe between the kind of pragmatic American interest that you just described the president having and the more existential sense of...
I also got to say, when he pulls this out, he's doing it in service of loyalty to Trump. He's defending Trump, and he does this regularly. He talks about him as my boss. This is like my job is to support him and follow his lead. So this is, especially right now with all of the I don't know, you could call it the big rift in the right in America right now, which largely breaks down along Israeli lines. This is Vance, with the full support of the administration, coming out and basically telling the neocons, he's talking to Likudniks, but he's basically telling neocons, you need to back down. Remember the thing he said to Megyn Kelly, where he said, he's talking in the context of like the retard right people, the panicans who just want to chimp out and jump off the ship every time something happens that they don't like. And he credits the neocons. He says, look at how good the neocons are at playing the game. Miranchuk, $13.99. He says, hey, remember when I said that Bibi and Likud were cooked back in 2024? Yes. Yes, indeed. I do remember that. I'm old enough to remember that. I remember Mr. Miranchuk catching a lot of shit for that prediction. And look at where we are now. Maybe you guys should go over and follow Miranchuk now on YouTube. You should tune in because there is good stuff happening and good stuff coming. Good stuff has happened. Good stuff is happening. Good stuff will happen. It can only good happen. And you're listening to Miranchuk now. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. So, yeah, we're all taking victory laps today. So this is so JD does this compliment the neocons, but in the complimenting the neocons, he's also issuing a warning to them that you guys don't run this party anymore. We're glad to have you as part of the coalition because this is the nature of coalitional politics, but you're not going to run the show. He had that little broadside to Ted Cruz, knowing that Ted Cruz is going to run in 2028. This is a let's say a declaration of territorial intent by J.D. Vance on behalf of the Trump administration. Miranchuk says, I'm going to drop a steamer at 11 a.m. Eastern. When are you going to go live? You're going to drop a steamer at 11 a.m. I'd also like to know when you're going to do a stream. 11 a.m. Eastern. Is that 11 a.m. Eastern tomorrow? 11 a.m. Okay. If he's going to go live at 11 a.m. tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, then I am going to do the lab. I was going to have to do the lab a little bit later tomorrow anyways. So I think I will do the lab tomorrow evening after. I'll do the lab between the end of the U.S. game and the voice chat in the King Pill Discord. So those of you who are listening now, the lab will be tomorrow. I'll set it up to go live after the U.S. game finishes. U.S. versus Australia starts at 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. I'm going to watch that. And then I'll go live. I will lab and go right into the voice chat over on the King Pill Discord, kingpill.com. All right, so back to Vance here. Let me just start this clip over again.
Okay. There is another country in the Middle East that thinks of itself as having a very intimate knowledge of the Iranian regime. Yeah. Not just the Gulf states. That's Israel. I don't think this deal is popular in Israel right now. I don't think you're an especially popular figure in Israel today. We'll see where things are in 6 months. And one perception I think that people have after watching this war unfold is that there is a certain misalignment maybe between the kind of pragmatic American interests that you just described the president having and the more existential sense of the stakes that Israel has. And one key criticism of the Obama deal from people in the Republican Party, people in Israel, elsewhere.
So Hook says this nigga look like Tim Pool. This is Tim Pool in like 20 years.
There was always that it was focused on the nuclear program and wasn't focused on Iranian proxies, their support for terrorism around the Middle East, their support for Hezbollah and Hamas. So I'm just curious, do you think there's a misalignment between the U.S. and Israel? Do you think Israel has incentives to not want this deal to continue? And is there a vision for how you get to a point where Iranian support for Hezbollah isn't sending rockets into Israel on the regular?
Thank you for resubscribing over on Kick. Rufus Garbagestein, Patriot spotted.
Well, what I'd say here is that it's clear that large segments of the Israeli political system and population are very sensitive about this deal. But I also think they're picking up on some misinformation about the deal and running with it and sort of panicking about it. And I fundamentally believe this deal will be good for the entire region and for the world. That includes, of course, the Israelis. Now, I think it's important to say that while I do believe that this deal will be good for the entire world, fundamentally, we're worried about what's in the best interest of the American people. And to the extent that, and I think the president has shown this, where he sees misalignment between the goals of the political system in Israel and the goals of the American people, he's willing to say that we're going to pursue America's interests where there are divergences. So there are certainly going to be disagreements from time to time. I think that's normal. I will say, I don't know, maybe I've missed this. I don't think Bibi himself has actually criticized the deal because I think he's maybe a little bit more familiar with the details of what's in it. But yeah, you've seen people in their system, Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, who've attacked the deal. And I guess my response to them would be,
so he's calling out Ben-Gvir and Smotrich directly, and he's also driving a wedge between them and Bibi, highlighting that they are they're actually sort of the, would you call it like the Varys types, lurking there behind Bibi, lining up, probably prepared to betray him. Because a Bibi who is owned by Trump could be a pretty valuable asset. You know, you have a Bibi redemption tour. I don't think that's going to happen, but these are the sorts of power plays that would be happening between them.
What is your exact proposal? And, you know, you're a country of 9 million people. You can't just kill your way out of solving every single national security problem that you have.
You know how easy it is to just truce? The vice president is telling Ben-Gvir and Smotrich on the New York Times podcast, you can't just kill your way out of you fucking desert savages. Actually, not desert savages, but that's another podcast. You madmen, you can't just kill your way out of every single national. You are a tiny little, you're the size of New Jersey. We own you. Knock down the chutzpah. The amount of people that tuned out over JD when he drops bombs like that. Seriously. The vice president telling Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, you're a bunch of degenerate savages. Get a grip and get in line.
Look at what we've accomplished. First of all, Americans have protected a lot of Israeli lives through our missile systems and through our missile programs over the last few months. We have destroyed their nuclear program. We have got the Iranians in a point where they're offering things, again, whether they'll actually act on them, we'll see, but they're offering things that would have been the stuff of dreams even 6 months ago. So let us play this negotiation out. Let us see if the Iranian actions actually meet the Iranian words, and give a little bit of credit to the United States of America, which I think has been an incredible partner for the Israeli government for a long time.
In the best case,
we're giving you the things that you've claimed that you want. You've talked about the danger of the Iranian nuclear program in hysterical existential terms, which, I mean, yeah, potentially, if you lived in Israel, Iran, a nuclear Iran, would be an existential threat for one reason or another. So we're taking a massive political hit to solve this problem for you. This problem you claimed you wanted solved. Are you saying that you're going to beg and cry for something and then you get it? And you're going to act like you're the victim?
Do you think that this deal changes how Hezbollah works?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think that there is this weird panic almost in the Israeli system that I've picked up on.
Straight Buster says it's just like in the desert. Some things may change, but some things will never change. A good point from JD Soa, JDSOWA over on YouTube, said JD's move here doesn't leave much surface area for a Tucker 28 presidential run. Oh yeah, we're going to come to the Tucker thing here in just a moment.
Where they assume that everything that is contemplated that is good for Iran will happen, but that will happen without the Iranians changing any behavior. And I just don't know why anybody would think that's true. That's not how the deal is written. The United States has all the financial leverage. Like the President of the United States or the Secretary of the Treasury have to release all these sanctions. Do they actually think we're going to release sanctions on the Iranian, system if they're still funding a terrorist organization? The answer is of course not. So I find this whole freak out in Israel a little bit odd because I think that it comes from a place of mistrust. And I think that America has earned the trust of that region of the world. We've done
Jews being completely unable to trust people who have taken major hits on their behalf.
And I think that America has earned the trust of that region of the world. We've done a very good job by that particular country and that particular government. And I think...
Note that distinction. That particular country and that particular government.
I think that the idea that we've made a terrible deal is not supported by the facts, but just doesn't make any sense if you consider the broad length of the relationship.
Okay.
Look who else is out. I was going to give Jason I was going to shine his shoes a little bit here, give him his credit. Told you Bibi was cooked back in 2024. The person who blindly follows power, does whatever she can to get just the tiniest crumb of power that she can. She smells the changing winds.
Well, you're absolutely right. When I was secretary, it was a constant theme by Netanyahu and his then government, the then defense minister, Ehud Barak, the former prime minister. Mm-hmm. It was relentless. It was...
She's running, boys.
A constant push. I remember...
what would he say to you?
What?
What would he say to you?
He would basically...
What?
Say, you need to support us in attacking Iran. And back then, this was, 2009 to...
Don't worry, only another 50 seconds, 45, 50 seconds, and then it'll get better.
To the end of 2012, we had more capacity than Israel did on several fronts to do that. And
Strip Buster says life is perpetually Trump versus Hillary. The eternal return!
So there was a constant argument that we would have. And I remember one day... I was on the phone for hours with Ehud, with Bibi, with others, and they would say things like, our planes are on the tarmac. And I'd say, well, good luck. I mean, great. Why are you doing this?
Where else would planes be other than in the air?
But on the tarmac, ready to take off. Yes. So they'd be
What a fucking retard. Where else would planes be? You fucking dumbass. They're ready to... Get with the program, you curly-headed freak.
Hangars, but they were on the tarmac. And
she has to correct him. These are the worst people in the world.
Great. Why are you doing this?
Where else would planes be?
Yeah.
Where else would planes be other than on the tarmac?
But on the tarmac, ready to take off. Yes. Well, no, they'd be in the hangars, but they were on the tarmac.
They'd be in the hangar. Oh, okay. Thank you, Hillary. Thank you.
And you would say things.
You're saying you were being played
all the time. I mean,
yes, I was being played. I was regularly played. Please add this to my record that I was played all the time
by an ally that receives an enormous amount of aid.
Well, of course. And look, Bibi's been
Everyone. It's a preference cascade. Everyone's all going to outdo themselves now to see who can be the most anti-Israel. See, okay, I told you guys it was going to get better. After I put you through Hillary. Sun Optimist says, Tucker is a mess. I may have to go listen to everything that Tucker says in his reaction to what's going on right now, because the dude is tying himself into all sorts of very, very strange knots. And how things have progressed has been, I've been going back and forth on to what extent I think Tucker is engaged in his own little kayfabe, and to what extent, like, it's he genuinely is just crooning out. But precisely the way that this has panned out has made, like, if things had happened in a different way or a different order or whatever, then the really dogmatic stances that Tucker has taken could be viewed in maybe a different light. But the way that I really want to see what sort of limbo he is going to be doing, what sort of limbo game. It's like limbo through crocodiles or something, to try to maintain some sort of coherence.
Someone who knows Trump very well once said to me 15 years ago, long before he became president, said, in the end, Trump disappoints everyone. Everyone who loves Trump is in the end disappointed, from his ex-wives to his former political allies, you name it, they're all disappointed. And it looks like it's Benjamin Netanyahu's turn to be disappointed.
Okay, so we've been chimping out for months about how poor Trump is just being led around by Bibi Netanyahu, evil Bibi. We have to save Trump from Bibi. And then Trump and Vance spent a couple of days just cock-slapping Bibi all around the room, even going after Ben-Gvir and Smotrich. And so now the way this has to be framed up is, well, Donald Trump just lets everyone down. Weird. Because this is like the opposite of what everyone says about Donald Trump. Literally everyone who knows him raves about what a great guy he is. Everyone who's ever known him. This is the first time in my life that I've ever heard a single person say that, Donald Trump just lets everyone down. His ex-wife was singing his praises to the grave. This is well known. Yeah, Tucker really needs to get back on the sauce. Like, there's something about, like, that you don't get rid of the addictive capacity, you just direct it into other things. And I think that he was better off. He was better off before.
Here's Donald Trump today at the G7 in Europe describing Israel's behavior.
And you'll see that when you see the agreement, but it's appropriate that we release the agreement. And we did send a copy to Israel, by the way. They've been a good partner. Again, I think they could do better with respect to Hezbollah. I'm not saying they shouldn't protect themselves. I'm saying when two drones are shot into the desert and drop harmlessly, you don't have to knock down buildings in Beirut. They could behave better. And frankly, they could do a better job. I love them as a partner. They were terrific, but they could do a much better job with Hezbollah.
He could only have gotten that idea from Benjamin Netanyahu.
Wow. Consider that for a moment. And he said a lot of things like that in the last 24 hours. But just in that statement, he said, by the way, we sent Israel a copy of the agreement. Oh, you sent them a copy, did you? You BCC'd them? Didn't consult Israel. They're a participant. They're our partner in this war. This is a joint war we are waging with the government of Israel somehow. First time in American history that's ever happened. Not a good idea, by the way. Note to self, don't do that again. But as of right now, we are waging a war with Israel, and we just reached the outline of a peace agreement with the country we are fighting with Israel without consulting Israel. We sent them a copy. Bitch. That's exactly what that means.
Isn't this exactly what you wanted? Haven't you been screaming from the mountaintops for months that Trump needs to put Netanyahu in his place? Netanyahu lied Trump into war! This is a war for Israel! And now, when Israel's getting frame-mogged, this is somehow a bad thing? Yeah, I need to put that bitch on the soundboard. That's quite good.
Peace agreement with the country we are fighting, with Israel, without consulting Israel. We sent them a copy. Bitch. That's exactly what that means. Adults are talking. That's exactly what Trump is saying to Israel. Then he goes on to say, yeah, I mean, I think what they're doing, and I understand you got to defend yourself and everything, but like, it's brutal what they're doing. It's brutal what they're doing in Beirut, in Lebanon, blowing up apartment buildings. At one point, not in that clip, but in another from yesterday, he said, I just think it's just too much. It's just too much. I think going forward, we may leave the fight against Hezbollah to, I don't know, Jelani, who runs Syria. He's a good guy. Let him handle it. He'll do it in a more measured way. Now, Jelani, of course, is a former al-Qaeda leader who is running Syria, really in thanks to Israeli pressure. Because
what? Okay, so what else? What else should it be? Are you saying that we need to go occupy Syria? Because the guy who's available happened to be an al-Qaeda guy before? Wait, are we actually doing nation building? Or are we just being like, yeah, you pick someone, that person's going to run it, and we'll treat them like they run it until they stop running it? He sounds like a bad Tim Pool impression. Yeah, Living Dead says he's literally being the guy showing up at the end of a project that he shit-talked the whole time and then presenting it to the boss like he came up with it.
Because Assad, who is literally a practicing medical physician educated in Britain, he's just too radical, meaning too anti-Israel. So we have to have the former al-Qaeda leader, al-Qaeda, which they told us did 9/11. I don't know if you remember that. Remember those 19 Arabs with box cutters who killed 3,000 Americans? That was the story anyway. One of those guys is now our ally in Syria. And by the way, that guy, the former al-Qaeda leader, he's just a more reasonable person. He's just more humane than Benjamin Netanyahu. I mean, I like them all. They're all good guys. But really, if you're looking for humane treatment of civilians, you got to go to the al-Qaeda guy, not the Israeli prime minister. That's what the president said.
Wait. Okay, so now is it? I'm getting. I can't keep up with the twists and turns here, Tucker. You're moving too fast for me. Is it good or bad that the United States does an anti-Israel or pro-Israel thing? So Assad is removed because he's too anti-Israel, but now it's like disrespectful and inappropriate to just BCC Israel on this agreement. So it's like, it's bad the way we're treating Israel, but it's also bad that we're doing things for Israel. It's almost like there's just no right answer where Israel is concerned. It's almost like these people have picked a particular issue that has possessed them completely, and they are incapable of viewing the world through literally any other lens. Anti-Zionism is a form of Zionism. And its adherents have all the same bizarre personality traits.
It's unbelievable. If I said that, which I don't know if I would say that. Is that true? I don't even know. I have maybe less faith in former al-Qaeda leaders than the president does. But if I said that, it'd be anti-Semitism. What are you saying? Well, Trump.
So apparently Tucker is now advocating for regime change in Syria. That's the only thing I can take from this. No. Not that guy. They have an al-Qaeda leader who cut his beard off and he put a suit on. No, the mullahs were fine. The mullahs were great. You should have just been like, I don't know, going to tea with the mullahs. But the former al-Qaeda guy, no, he's bad. We can't do deals with him. Benjamin Netanyahu is better, but he's also Satan. And it's bad that you're like publicly condemning him to the world. Like, make up your fucking mind.
Trump is saying that the Israelis are such inhumane savages who do not consider non-Israeli life fully human. That's true, by the way, obviously. That we're going to trust the al-Qaeda guy over them.
Would that seems like the sort of thing that Tucker Carlson might have advocated for, I don't know, a week ago? When he was talking about how Bibi Netanyahu is the source of all evil in the world? So, if we can't work with Bibi because he's bad, and we can't work with Al-Qaeda because they're bad, now are you saying that the United States needs to get involved in regime change in Israel and regime change in Syria and where else? Are we supposed to be withdrawing from the Middle East or getting more engaged in the Middle East? Kingless Kingdom says, notice how was I wrong at any point here never enters his mind. It's just so... It's so low IQ that I just cannot remove from my mind the possibility that Tucker is just doing a thing. Because it's not like he's not a sophisticated thinker. It's not like he's not familiar with these sorts of things. He can be more vapid than you might expect sometimes because he lived in such a bubble for all of his life. But he's not a stupid person. Tucker is not stupid. Perhaps he has become completely ideologically possessed and has lost his mind. But there's too much that he's done and said that makes that just not sit with me. And he's got very close ties with J.D. Vance, obviously. And I mean, I got to go listen to the episode now to see if he mentioned some of the commentary that J.D. Vance has made. But and I know too many people who have close personal connections to him that have told me things about him that this whole character that he's playing do not correspond to. Honestly, the most plausible thing that one of the more plausible sort of like schizo ideas about this is that he's essentially like laying down cover fire for J.D. Vance and running like that. If he was going to run for president, because there does seem to have that thing of he's like lining up some big political run or something like that, and he would never get elected president, not in a million years. But I could see him run for president. I could definitely see him do that. And if he did, I go back to the article that I read you guys several months ago about there was the 1789 Capital. There's this firm called 1789 Capital. And there was a meeting that happened in 2019 between J.D. Vance, Tucker Carlson, Peter Thiel, Omid Malik, Tucker Carlson's partner, who his business partner, who he started the Daily Caller with, and then who he started, he was one of his investors in his TuckerCarlson.com operation. And then this other guy, that his name is escaping me right now. See if I can find him I have his notifications on X because I've been trying to keep track of what he is talking about. I know he's tweeted within the last couple of days, but I also have notifications on for a lot of people, so I may not be able to come up with his name, but maybe I'll just say 1789 Capital. Chris Buskirk. That was his name. Chris Buskirk. So they had this meeting in 2019 where they talked about kind of the inevitability of Trump and the importance of having a way for pro-Trump elites to coordinate. And they also talked in terms of like building civilization and the need to have essentially like a sort of like a lord's class or an aristocrat's class who see themselves as their responsibility is to be the defenders of civilization. So it was Chris Buskirk, Peter Thiel, J.D. Vance, Omid Malik, Tucker Carlson. They all met at this like private meeting, sort of summit kind of thing in 2019, talking about all these things. Now, and Donald Trump Jr. has since become closely involved with 1789 Capital as well. So I've been following Buskirk to see, he's a close affiliate of Tucker, J.D. Vance, and Don Jr. and I've been following him to kind of take his temperature regularly. He's got EAC in his name, but he has not trooned out at all. He's retweeting JD Vance. He has been on message the entire time. So these are the sorts of associations that I can't just overlook. Because if Tucker is genuinely, sincerely going through this big anti-Trump trune out, then that makes those sorts of business arrangements a little awkward. It's kind of uncomfortable if you have one side that's like very much on the Trump train, and the other side who's one of the most public, going through one of the most public trune outs. Those things don't. It seems like that would make something kind of awkward and uncomfortable. So this is the connections that have had me assuming there must be something more to this. But for all of that to be the case, then Tucker is a legendary actor, like sociopathic. Like some of the best actors are sociopaths because they basically have no qualms with completely shape-shifting. Tucker would have to be a legendary shapeshifter. So I guess one of my speculations would be, assuming there is some sort of 4D chess thing happening here, then one of my speculations would be that Tucker is basically trooning out over Israel as a way of forcing that issue ahead of time and basically being the more radical option that makes JD seem much more moderate and reasonable. And then it also means that that Tucker has the ability of absorbing a lot of that anti-Israel sentiment and becoming like a lightning rod for that, and then essentially passing off his constituency or his audience or his market share in support of JD. So it's like some sort of like an advance game. But this is some pretty speculative 4D chess. But the only other option is that Tucker is genuinely just trooning out, and then I come back to how odd. What a bizarre change of character. And it must be awkward to be like deeply invested alongside Trump Jr. while you're publicly trooning out about his dad. Okay, so a couple other things here. Let me keep an eye on my sister. When it's time for her to be picked up, I would imagine she's going to be desperately in need of some air conditioning. At the same time that all of this is happening, you've got Pete Hegseth at the G7 says, "This is NATO 3.0. This is where Dylan says, NATO 3.0, I'm going to come.
I'm going to come.
The United States has defended Europe for generations. And for too long, NATO has been a paper tiger and a one-way street. It's not going to cut it anymore. And so we're doubling down on our effort to make NATO what it always was supposed to be, a balanced alliance with Europe in the lead for its own defense, NATO 3.0. I'm announcing today a 6-month Department of War review that will examine America's force posture and basing in Europe. It will be designed to ensure that NATO is moving fast and irreversibly toward Europe leading. Going forward, our annual NATO dues will be contingent on other countries meeting their defense spending targets. Where other allies do not spend with urgency, our dues contributions will go down. This is the right thing to do by the American people, and it's time.
North American Trump Organization, pay the tab, Euros. It's time. Damn, everyone in this administration cleans up real nice. Remember when there was that big old dopey gorilla who was the SecDef before? Now we got the sharply dressed silver fox slapping his dick down on the table in front of the Euros. Central casting. So true. So true, central casting. Straight Buster says, where are the libertarians now that Trump is dissolving NATO? Yeah. It turns out that that tuning out doesn't pay. Miracek now says, this is such a great FU. Such a giant FU, it can be seen from space. The pressure is ramping up. They're escalating. There is no back down in this administration. Now, speaking of, let's say, sort of odd suggestions of an outsider run for president, Greg Bovino, here at Vlad the Impaler's tomb. Folks, this reminds me that cultures have historically been marred by illegal aliens. You know, you're kind of stretching the illegal alien concept there a little bit, I suppose. But I'll allow it. One moment you're enjoying your hard-fought societal traditions and values. The next invaders decide your land and your people should look like theirs. Okay, not so much of a stretch, I suppose. The Prince of Wallachia wasn't some cartoon villain. He was a great hero to his people. So true. Go party with some Romanian Orthodox Christians. Dance to some polka. And see what they think of Vlad the Impaler. We a couple years ago, we went and joined one of our local Romanian Orthodox churches as they had a picnic, like a big picnic park celebration of Vlad the Impaler. They had a whole guy dressed up like him, marched out like him, like he gave a speech, had his armed guards with him, and then you could go take pictures. Eastwood got scared and cried. The Prince of Wallachia. When the Turks came rolling in, he did what was necessary to protect his culture and way of life. Turks, you're next. Don't you go getting uppity. Sometimes the only thing standing between your civilization and the next wave of invaders is a motivated patriot, willing to do what it takes. Bovino, with his picture taken, the tomb of Vlad the Impaler. Quite keno, if you ask me. Now, note who he tags in this. This is very funny. Nick Sortor, Stephen Miller, Lauren Witzke, Gavin Newsom, J.D. Pritzker, and Zoran Mamdani. J.D. Pritzker, we're going to kill you. Watch the stream get taken down off of YouTube. It's a joke. It's a joke. Calm down, you Jews. Now a little bit of Pride Month news. Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon just referred a religious discrimination probe into Major League Baseball after they cracked down on players putting Bible verses on their LGBT pride hats. This has been kind of cooking for a little bit, and it seems like we might be getting a flashpoint here.
Expressing their Christian faith. It comes against expressing their Christian faith. It comes after several San Francisco Giants players wrote Bible verses on their caps during a Pride Night promotion last week. Lucas Tomlinson straightens this out for us, I think. Good morning, Lucas.
Good morning, Bill. Senator Josh Hawley has written a letter to Major League Baseball saying that these players are being subjected to religious discrimination after Major League Baseball players on the San Francisco Giants were criticized by Major League Baseball for writing Bible verses on their team-issued Pride Night hats during Friday night's game against the Chicago Cubs, including Landon Roop, a 27-year-old right-hander from Rocky Mount, North Carolina, who started and pitched 4 2/3 innings with Genesis chapter 9, verses 12 through 16 written on his cap next to the rainbow-colored team logo, as you can see there. After the game, Roop said there's no hate at
We're taking back the rainbow, boys.
all. It's just what I stand for and what I stand on.
Sorry, not faggy enough.
Two relievers also made appearances in the game with Bible verses on their hats. Another took the mound without his Pride Night cap, instead wearing the traditional orange lettering. The pitchers have a supporter, Vice President J.D. Vance, who posted on X, quote, "Trump won. We don't have to do this anymore." Now, San Francisco first
Trump won. We don't have to do this anymore. J.D. Vance confirms it.
Pride Night uniforms in 2021. After the game, the Giants issued a statement apologizing to the LGBTQ plus community. Major League Baseball issuing a statement saying the writing on the caps violates our rules and consistent with normal practice. We have warned the players about future violations.
I think people are tired of corporations, whether they're, in the business space or in the sports setting.
So true.
Forcing ideology on players in things like rainbow symbols on uniforms.
You get him, Vicky Cobb, Family Foundation of VA president.
As they were on some of the hats. And so the fact that players are going to react to that should be expected and it should be honored.
Now, meanwhile, here in Washington, Bill,
it should be honored. It needs to be respected. Boys, we got the Ma's, middle-aged white women, demanding that our white boys be respected in their homophobia.
4 games over 500 for the first time since winning the World Series.
So this is what Harmeet Dillon said. Swing and a miss. Major League Baseball encouraged players to wear Black Lives Matter on their uniforms, but reportedly threatened Christians who write Bible verses on their hats. The United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission will investigate whether this amounts to religious discrimination. Did any of you guys expect that as soon as Donald Trump was reelected, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission would suddenly become a weapon against libtards? Thank you, Mr. President. What do they say here? Dear Commissioner Manfred, Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 prohibits employers from discriminating against any individual with respect to his compensation terms, conditions, or privileges of employment because of that individual's religion. Employers are required to, quote, reasonably accommodate an employee's religious observance, unless doing so would, quote, impose undue hardship on the conduct of the employer's business. According to media reports, so basically what they're going to have to do now is they're going to have to prove that pandering to gays is an important business priority for Major League Baseball. The success of Major League Baseball depends upon them pandering to fags.
Why are you gay?
Who says I'm gay?
You are gay.
According to media reports, Major League Baseball has warned and or is considering disciplining 3 players on the San Francisco Giants. So great that this is coming out of San Francisco, who refused to participate in Pride Night. The 3 players expressed their opposition to MLB's pro-Pride orthodoxy by inscribing Bible verses on their rainbow-colored hats. Their pro-Pride orthodoxy. Oh, yes, our Aryan Queen Harmeet Dillon. Straight Buster says the Crown was in the gutter to do this the whole time. Harjeet is our top poo warrior. Just don't let her hear you say that. She'll get cranky. The Civil Rights Act prohibits MLB and its franchises from unreasonably burdening the rights of players with religious objections to serving as the league's vehicle for pro-pride messages. Federal law is clear. Employers must modify their uniform requirements to reasonably accommodate their employees' exercise of religion. See generally EEOC v. Abercrombie and Fitch. What a timeline! Abercrombie and Fitch. MLB has asserted that its warning to the Giants players, quote, had absolutely nothing to do with the content of the message, and that it merely is enforcing a policy that prohibits writing on uniforms. Yet, MLB has allowed players to wear uniform patches reading Black Lives Matter. This double standard, under which players may not inscribe Bible verses on hats for one game only, but may wear Black Lives Matter patches for one game only, calls MLB's true motives into question and raises serious concerns about MLB's compliance with Title VII. Employers may not use facially neutral policies as, quote, a pretext for discrimination. The Trump administration is committed to combating religious discrimination. The Department of Justice will use all available means to hold employers accountable for violating the religious rights of their employees. I've referred this matter to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission for further investigation. Now, Josh Ham says that he just sent over the EEOC's response. So let me grab that. Andrea Lucas, one of my president's greatest patriots. She has shown up multiple times on the lab. Okay, so here is what she said. Thank you for the referral, AAG Dillon. Due to confidentiality requirements under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act that bind U.S. EEOC cannot confirm or deny any potential action or the existence of any charge or investigation absent a court filing or an agreed-upon public resolution. Rest assured, however, that EEOC is committed to protecting the religious liberty of all workers. Cannot confirm or deny. There was another story here that I had in the stack a couple of weeks ago and ended up having to just push it out about how I believe the DOJ was also investigating the NFL for civil rights violations in their hiring requirements. And it's funny because there's been a rule, long-standing rule, in the NFL for a while now. It's called the Rooney Rule, where with most coaching positions, there's certain ones I think that are exempted, but for most coaching positions, they are required to interview a minority candidate before they can hire a non-minority, a white candidate. And this is just accepted. It's accepted and talked about and discussed every single time there is a hiring of any coaching position. I think it extends to the front office as well, at least the general manager. So every team is required to do a token interview of a token black. And everybody knows that the interview is just to satisfy the Rooney Rule. And the libs get really mad about it because they recognize that teams are just doing their due diligence. Thank you, Emperor Atreides. That the teams are just interviewing a token minority just to check off the box. And they're like, oh, this is inappropriate. They shouldn't be just checking off boxes. Motherfucker, you gave them a box to check. You said, here, check this box. And then when people check the box, and you go, oh, you're just doing it to check the box. Yeah, motherfucker, that's how it works. Give me a box to check. I'm going to check it so I can go hire the best person for the job. Living Dead says, we're taking back American cultural institutions and the AAG is personally making oral arguments. And you're blackpilling? I love it. I love it when Harmeet Dillon makes oral arguments. Lord Breezy says, to this day, Jerry Jones refuses to hire a black head coach and brings in the same black guys to interview every time. Yeah. There's like, there's a handful of guys whose basically their entire staying power in the league is just that they're acceptable, they're good enough, and they're minorities. So they just get, they're the token minority interview every cycle. Mr. Westford in the chat. What's up, buddy? Josh Ham says meritocracy is back on the menu. White men way up.
White males way up. White males have gone through the roof. White males way up.
Speaking of white males being way up and Mr. Westford, W's in the chat for Mr. Westford on the birth of yet another young, strapping Orthodox child. Beautiful baby. Major W's for Mr. Westford and Mrs. Westford. The birth of their new child. A new white baby. He's spreading the species, boys. Yeah, Mrs. Kingpilled, I got pictures. I'll show you as soon as I finish the show here. Got some pictures of the little one. Oh, white males way up indeed. All right, last thing that I've got here is on the subject of Pride Month. Matt Forney says, this is the prompt I used to create this video. I sometimes have to regenerate these videos a dozen or more times to get one I like. This one only took one regeneration. So I'm going to read you the prompt for the video. Then I'm going to show you the video. Here's the prompt. A minion runs into the middle of a pride parade, steals a transgender pride flag from an obese, tall, mannish, long-haired, balding transsexual, then lights the flag on fire and stomps on it. As the crowd watches in shock, the minion laughs and taunts them with homophobic and transphobic slurs. So the reason that we're watching this video here, YouTube overlords, is just because we want to see what AI video creation is capable of. Look at that simple prompt, and look what it produced.
Pride Parade! I'll take that, tranny! Burn, you faggot flag! You queers are next! Cry about it, faggots!
Soundboard!
Pride Parade! I'll take that, tranny! Burn, you faggot flag! You queers are next! Cry about it, faggots!
Oh, white males have never been more up. Thank you, Mr. President.
I fucking love trains!
Oh, what do you got here, Kingless Kingdom? Let's see. What is this? Ooh, we've got another poll. You're really milking this one, aren't you? All right. We must vote again. The link is in the chat. I'll drop it here. Let me drop it in the YouTube chat for our YouTube Patriots as well. Which one? Which one are we voting for? He says, I was initially just going to go with Costanza, but I thought of a compromise. Which profile picture do you like more? I promise this is the last one for a long time. So, with the MAGA hat or without? I think it's 100%. 100% with the hat. Yes. I'm voting with the crowd. Occasionally, democracy gets it right. Shout out to Kingless Kingdom. Go follow our boy. He is hard at work in the Twitter streets at AmeriKing83. I'll make sure I include this link in the show notes. All right, well, that was all that I had lined up. I wonder if there's anything else that is worth reacting to. My sister hasn't replied yet, saying that she's ready to go. Let me see what the final score was of the Canada game. Holy crap! Holy crap! 6-0. 2 red cards for Qatar. What is it? Qatar? Guitar. Oh, that reminds me. I did have something that I was going to play for you guys. Also, Switzerland beat Bosnia and Herzegovina 4-1. Mexico and South Korea are at halftime right now. That's probably a good game. 0-0 at halftime. Yesterday, there were some great games yesterday. Portugal, and they're calling it DR Congo. It's very weird. So you have the Democratic Republic of Congo, and then you have the Republic of Congo. These are 2 separate countries. Democratic Republic of Congo and the Republic of Congo. 2 countries share a border. DR Congo is much larger than the Republic of Congo. But they played Portugal yesterday. Ronaldo played the whole match and did not deliver. And the memes have been tremendous. If you guys aren't on X and you aren't catching all the World Cup memes, some of you guys are learning for the first time just how racist all of the foreign fans are, especially the Argentinian fans. The memes are so good. And the fact that they automatically translate, one of the best things that X has ever done. Are they actually countries? Only because white people say they are. Colombia beat Uzbekistan 3-1. I heard that game was pretty good. The England-Croatia game was legitimately very good. Very good. England won 4-2, but it's not that Croatia was bad necessarily. England is just very, very good. England is going to be very good this year. Alexi Lawless was on. It's funny. Alexi just he's very much a MAGA guy, and American soccer fans, all the shit-lib American soccer fans, cannot stand him. He just pisses them off, and he enjoys every last second of it. He said that he was talking about England, how good they are. He said for England to finally bring it home on American soil would be just unthinkable. Just completely unthinkable. It cannot happen. We've got Alexi Lawless going out amongst the shitlib American soccer fans and expressing pride in his country, and I'm proud of him. Ghana beat Panama. That was a last-second goal, breakaway goal. That was pretty good. Is England a bunch of black dudes? Actually, it's only like a third of them. Really, there are some powerful white boys. Harry Kane, Declan Rice, John Stones. John Stones is a good sturdy white boy. Protecting the back, protecting the English back. Deploy the attack bald eagles on July the 4th. All Patriots go, go, go. I believe there is the possibility that the United States and England will play on July 4th. That would be if that actually happens, oh baby. Thus far, it seems like England and Argentina are the big dogs in the World Cup. Argentina beat Algeria 3-0. Messi hat trick. The man is inevitable. The Norway-Iraq game was great. You had Erling Haaland dropping bombs on the Iraqis. Gigantic Viking warrior running them down. France looked very good as well. England, France, Argentina. Those are probably the big dogs thus far, as was kind of expected. Germany beat Curacao 7-1. So we're getting through the first round of games, and we'll see how many. Like some of these, like Germany Curacao, you're expecting that's going to be a curb stomping. That's Germany's ranked number 10 in the world. Curaçao's ranked number 82. For context, the U.S. is like number 17. So you'll start to see some of these, like England beating Croatia 4-2 was that was a pretty big statement game because Croatia's pretty good. Luka Modric had a terrible game. Croatia's ranked 11th. FIFA or England is ranked 4th. 7%er says Venmo sent. Yeah, the United States is 17th. What do they mean by this? 7%er with $50. She says soccer is lame. Yes, I lived that way for a while. I deprived myself of the enjoyment of soccer for a long time, but I have repented. Thank you for the $50. Let me get that added to the goal here. Okay, she says she's done. So I'll play you guys one last thing here. All right. It's actually going to go down just a little bit because the last one was kicks that are overshooting it. Okay, last thing that I'll play for you guys is this, talking about the pronunciation of that Middle Eastern country that we spend so much time talking about. Tomorrow I'll talk about this stuff going on with Trump and Pulte and Clayton. My president is working the 4D chess a little bit. Where did this go? I'm sure that I saved it, but I would have run into it by now, I think. I don't think I put it that far back. Well, maybe I can't find it. Let me try this. Oh yeah, here we go. Found it. All right, let me just let her know. Okay. So, pronunciation of Iran. Now, apologies, this video is a little insufferable, but it's also kind of interesting.
It's pronounced Iran, not Iran.
It's pronounced Iran, not Iran. They're both wrong. Not only are they wrong, the logic they're using is literally genocidal.
Literally genocidal! If you pronounce it wrong, you're committing genocide!
Not being hyperbolic, I will explain that at the end of the video. Let's start with the first correction. I know.
No, so you got the guy dressed in whatever this is, like what kind of looks like an Arab Cossack or something. He's got the little hat, he's got the whole background and everything. Yet he speaks perfect TikTok. So he has the hook at the beginning with the pronunciations, and then he says, no, they're wrong, and actually, this is a precursor for genocide. But I'll tell you about that in just a minute. It's genocide, but I got to get my video through, so make sure you stick around to the very end. He speaks perfect TikTok. He's got a $600 mic.
I know that it's right-leaning or right-coded to say Iran, so if you hear someone say that, they're probably in favor of a regime change war. So
if you say Iran, that means that you're in favor of a regime change war.
Left-wing people, in an attempt to not sound like Republicans, decided, why don't we pronounce the name of the country closer to the way that Iranians do? So they say Iran. The problem...
Now, that actually is true. That is the reason why libs are all like Iran, or they try to do the R roll, Iran. to me, it just has been, it just flows more naturally when I'm talking. I just say Iran because it's like Iran instead of Iran. I don't have to pause on it as much, but I may need to start saying Iran just purely because of the people that it pisses off. So I got to try to make that stick. Iran. So that it is funny that it's actually the dude sounds like a gay lib, but it actually is true that Iran is right coded and Iran is left coded.
Problem with that is it's also wrong. If you think Iran is wrong, then Iran is wrong for the same reason. Now, if you just want to sound like a left winger instead of sounding like a Republican, that's fine. You can say Iran, but just know.
Oh, it's okay if you just want to sound like a left winger. Then that's okay. You can do it just to sound like a left winger. We're allowed to have left wingers are allowed to have our in group demonstrations of loyalty.
Your correction is also wrong. Now you might say, okay, you showed the Iranian person saying Iran. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. That's actually how I say it in my day-to-day life, even when I speak English.
It's how I say it in my day-to-day life, even when I speak English. So presumably an Iranian guy. So even when he speaks English, it seems like it would make more sense to say even when I speak Farsi. Because it would be like assumed that you would pronounce it kind of the inappropriate way when you're speaking English just to fit in with the English-speaking audience. But then he says even when he speaks English, he pronounces it the wrong way. So you're telling me that you engage in genocide casually.
But the problem there is his logic is correctness, right? Well, Iran is also incorrect. When Ferdowsi was writing his Shahnameh, he pronounced the name of
He's trying to cast a spell on us with his guttural language.
Country Iran. And if you don't believe me, go to Afghanistan and Tajikistan. They have
Afghanistan. Why can't you just talk right? Afghanistan. It's not Afghanistan. It's just Afghanistan, bro.
More conservative dialects of Persian, and they say Iran. So Iran is not correct either. Of course, I believe all these pronunciations are correct.
So all the pronunciations are correct. This one's wrong. This one's wrong. It's okay if you do the one that's wrong. You're contributing to genocide, but also they're all right. It's all okay.
Iran, Iran, because I'm not a person who goes to other people and tells them you're wrong for the way you speak.
Makes an entire video about why you're wrong if you speak this way, but actually you're right too. And also you're committing genocide no matter what.
That's what people do to black Americans. Oh, black English is broken. That's
the N-word.
Native Americans go to this school and forget your language because it's wrong. That's what they've done all over the world. When you get into the mindset of correcting people's speech because the way they speak is wrong, you're taking the first step towards genocide. Because what is the premise? What is the logic of erasing people's languages? They're wrong. We should be humble. We should not correct people. We should allow people to speak as they please. And if someone's saying Iran makes you cringe, I'm sorry. When you speak Persian, I cringe. So maybe you should see my free classes in the bio.
The ending. All of this whole thing is all a setup for... He makes a video about why you're all wrong when you say this, but we shouldn't be correcting people and how they say things, because when you correct people's language, you're actually initiating it's the first step toward genocide. But when you speak my language wrong, you make me cringe, so check out my link in bio. It's exquisite. Phenomenal. He's wearing the desert garb. He's got his little hat. He can tut you on your pronunciations, accusing you all of committing genocide. Just so he can market his class. The dude is TikTok fluent, marketing his class on how to speak Farsi. While also talking about how they committed genocide. It's funny, following his logic, when left-coded people want to say Iran instead of saying Iran because they don't want to be right-wing coded, they're actually trying to commit genocide against right-wing people. That'd be the natural entailment of his statement here. So he's out here saying that left-wing people are trying to commit right-wing genocide. We need to, I'm not going to say that. That's one that'll definitely get the channel flagged. I'll just leave it at that. What this guy has convinced me is that from now on, I must go out of my way to say Iran. I will combat the Chutzpah by saying Iran. All right, reminder, tomorrow, Labe will be after the U.S. game. Do your Patriot duty. Support the boys against the Aussies. We must, Aussie side. Yeah, Heshin's genociding us because he's correcting our language. Support the boys against the Aussies. Do your Patriot duty. Shut up. Accidentally hit play on the video again. And then tune in for another Astrolabe tomorrow afternoon, which will be immediately followed by the voice chat over in the King Pilled Discord. So make sure you go join the Discord as well. kingpilled.com. Thank you to every single one of you. I will see you tomorrow. For now, I leave you with Hulk.
When they took a shot at my hero, and they tried to kill the next president of the United States, enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America